Good evening. Hello. A very warm welcome to everybody who's logged in, has taken out time to watch us on the Spotlight series today. Today, I'm joined by Sue Asquith from UK. Sue, welcome to you.
Welcome, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for everybody to join as well. I'm looking forward to speaking to you about self-regulation and outdoor play.
Great. So friends, if you love what you do, you want to share with as many people as possible. Our world was turned upside down this year, but we are grateful for every experience this time has given us. These last few months have allowed us to make the absolute most of our next adventure. And our next adventure is connecting, encouraging, listening, motivating, talking, building and promoting each and every individual who is passionate about their work and they want to share, they want to train and make a positive contribution to this entire community. My name is Preeti Tyagi. I'm the founder, director of Wowkids Preschool chain in India and the co-founder of Early Childhood Global Mastermind Group. Through our Spotlight series, we would be talking to such amazing, positive people who have an ocean of experience in different fields. And now with the Spotlight series, they have a platform to share it with the global audience. Today, it's my pleasure that Sue Asquith from UK could join us on the Spotlight series. I'm very happy to introduce Sue to you. Sue Asquith started her journey in 1998 as a registered childminder, and she was graded outstanding, that too twice, from Ofsted, and that's we all know who are aware with the grading system by Ofsted. That's commendable. She extended her childminder role, becoming a mentor. She led childminder affiliated with local children centers and an early lead language practitioner. Sue has worked on Department for Education funded projects with charities like PACey, ICANN, Communication Trust, and NDNA. She has led local authority projects as well as training and assessing throughout the UK and internationally. Her first book, Self-Regulation Skills in Young Children, was published by JKP in April 2020. Please, if you would like to know more about Sue, you can follow her on Twitter at Sue Asquith1. That's SUEASQUITH1, and on Facebook as Sue Asquith Early Childhood Consultant. So once again, a very warm welcome to you. And today I'm very excited to have a conversation around few questions, which I'm sure everybody is, it comes to them once in a while. So let's start our first discussion, or the first question for the evening is, how important is the outdoor play for children? And we definitely know the current situation around the globe, but even if I have to keep that aside, first we would like to know from you, how important is it for children to play outdoors? What is the ideal time that a child, especially when we talk about the age group 0 to 6 or 7, how much time they should actually spend outside, outdoors? And then, yes, we would definitely like to know that during the current times, if children are unable to go out that much, what else can we do to make up for that?
Okay.
So to you, please.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. So outdoor play, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that physically, but also for our mental well-being, it's really, really crucial. So as you said before, I used to be a childminder. So here in the UK, you have to be registered with Ofsted to be able to give care to other children in your own home. So that sometimes during the school holidays, during the summer here in the UK, that could have been for a baby of 3 or 4 months, right up to 15, 16-year-olds. And you can imagine the huge age gap and the age experience. So sometimes if it was a little bit rainy or the weather was a little bit, it wasn't particularly sunny or warm, you could tell the children were just fed up with those 4 walls and they were winding each other up and they were getting cross and mischievous, but just going outside just lifted the mood for everybody. It gave them some time to run off some energy. It also makes them a little bit hungrier, so when you put a meal in front of them, they want to eat it and they're not picking and poking at it. And it also helps them sleep at night, which is huge if we think when we come into later on about well-being and self-regulation, being able to sleep. I'm sure you know any parent who's had a baby keep them up during the night will know that sleep is huge as well in terms of your mental well-being as well. So through the pandemic, I mean, some parents might be trying to work from home. Some parents might have spending more time at home maybe because they can't go to their jobs, or some of them might still be going out to work, but we've still got that thing to think about, spending some time with the children and trying to think of some quality time. Maybe it doesn't have to be the length of time that you spend with the children. It's about the quality of the time rather than the quantity, I feel. Sometimes 10, 15 minutes outside is all it needs, really. It depends on the children and the space you've got. So if you're lucky enough to live near the beach, we spoke earlier, didn't we, about the beach, and if you can do social distancing and you are lucky enough to live near the beach or maybe a country park or some outdoor space, then that's obviously a really useful thing to be able to do. Some people can't do that and the local parks and amenities might be closed. So making the space of your own kind of balcony areas and patio areas and whatever you've got there is huge as well. And it doesn't involve lots of resources or expensive equipment. Our children in our home when we're childminded, if we gave them a bucket of water and quite a thick brush, so a paintbrush like you probably paint the house with rather than a child's paintbrush, they used to paint with the water outside on the either house wall or the fence or the patio, the paving stones, and we learned all sorts about how the water evaporated, for example, because obviously it's going to dry. They could do all sorts of different patterns. We could splatter the water. So something so simple just kept them busy for so long. Chalks maybe outside on the floor, and you could, I don't know if you're familiar with the game hopscotch, but you can do the jump and then the hop and then jump and the hop. So you do like a grid on the floor with 2 spaces, 1 space, 2 spaces, 1 space, and again the coordination there for children to be able to jump and hop and maybe count and throw a stone to a certain level, catch it, turn around and come back. So there's lots and lots of different things you can do. That's really, really easy. If you've got any storage boxes or plastic containers or even pots and pans and things, you can put things in there like water play. If the children are into toy dinosaurs and things like that, you could maybe put some sand and some mud in a small box and you can make a dinosaur world. There's absolutely loads and loads you can do, as well as obviously listening to the sounds that are outside, whatever's happening, whether there's a car going past or a scooter going past, or you might be able to hear the emergency services, the sirens going. You can talk about all those different sights and sounds and the smells. And there's absolutely all sorts you can get from outside learning. So it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to involve lots of resources. It can happen in a tiny, tiny little area. If you've just got a tiny backyard or a small patio or balcony area, it doesn't have to be large scale. It's the time spent outside in the fresh air and hopefully, if you can, in a bigger space, maybe on the beach or in a green space. But if not, in your garden or in your backyard is absolutely fine. If you've got the toy dolls, the babies, not the real babies, obviously, the toy ones, the dolls, you could maybe bath them outside. Maybe if you've got a bucket of water, you could wash their clothes, you could peg them out. So there's all sorts of things that they can do, even washing their own toys outside, making a bubble mixture with some washing up liquid and some water and some glycerine. There's absolutely loads and loads, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune or even anything really. Most of these things are free really. So it's building dens. Maybe den building's a good one. You can use maybe an old sheet or an old tablecloth or something like that. And again, there's lots of planning and problem solving and things that can be going on there as well, and lots of fun to be had too. So lots and lots of things, benefits of being outdoor. And obviously, pandemic wise, we've talked about the fact that you might not be able to go to bigger spaces. Maybe that you might have gone to a park or a playground that might be closed at the moment. But lots of things in terms of just being outside really. And the scientists and the government here in the UK are saying that it's less likely to catch the coronavirus outside. If you're social, as long as you're social distancing from people you don't live with. So it's just that outside space really, so that it's better for our well-being to reset our emotions and regulate our bodies as well. It's good.
Absolutely. I completely agree that you really do not need too much of infrastructure, or you have to spend a lot. But I was just reading one of the articles that you wrote that, just being outside, it could be a small park, or maybe, yes, a space in your balcony where, children love to play with mud. If you have dry leaves or some stones, or, just the twigs, they just love to collect them and just make something with it. So during these times also, the learning is in abundance in outdoors too. So I loved it what you wrote about, just read your shadow, every day, just see from where your shadow was at maybe 8 a.m. and then just see where is it at 9. So when you're reading your shadow, so there are so many things that we can still do with children, even if we are unable to go out to a bigger play area. But yes, I think the learning will continue. So that's great. One of the things that I can share, that whenever I play with my children outside, or when they were like pretty young, 4 or 5, one thing which I observed is that, of course, you can supervise them from a distance, but outdoor play really makes them start taking decisions on their own. When they don't see that my parent is around, and if they have to decide, for example, they're playing with their friends, or even if they're playing alone, and if they have to make a decision, this is something personally I felt that they really start taking that decision making skill is really worked upon when they start playing outdoors. So I think it's really fun, and I really hope that parents get to spend a lot of time with their children, quality time outdoors. So that is great. Thank you for that, Sue. Before I go ahead, let me say hello to people who are logged in. Kalpana, hello. Gaman, hello. So thank you so much that you could take out time and you're here with us. So let's move on to our next question. So you recently wrote a book on self-regulation.
I did.
And yes, I believe you said, I think it's on Amazon as well. So I think most of us as parents, or even teachers, we would want to understand what exactly it means when we are talking in reference to young children. And what does it mean? How do we take care of it? Why is it important in children? And if you could help us with the strategies or a solution, because what I understand from the word regulate, it for me, it's like we're trying to control something, or maybe trying to find a response for something. So could you help us with that on self-regulation?
I can, yes. So obviously self-regulation is complex. I've tried to write my book in like an accessible language rather than kind of academic language where you're talking in big words and people are trying to find out about something but end up with more big words that they're not really sure what they mean. So I've tried to write it in an accessible kind of chatty kind of state so that parents and practitioners and teachers can really hopefully engage with it really, really easily. It's a very complex, obviously, study and topic, but to put it really simply, I try and think about it as your ability to be able to manage your own energy and your states and emotions, and try and do that in a socially acceptable way. Obviously, when babies are newborn, they have needs and they try and communicate their needs by crying, but you just kind of going, whoa, what's the matter? You're crying, but they can't regulate that for themselves because they need somebody to feed them or to change their nappy or to love them and cuddle them, etc. So when babies are really, really small, we talk about co-regulating with their parents and their other kind of important adults, is when somebody comes in an acceptable manner, a timely, acceptable, caring manner, to be able to respond to those babies' needs. So they're crying, they can't say I'm hungry or hey, I'm thirsty or whatever, but somebody's trying to kind of okay, you're feeling uncomfortable. What is it that I can do to help? You know, that uncomfortable feeling can be put to rest, but let me help you with that kind of thing. And they realise then through attachments and relationships that yes, I might feel hungry or thirsty or that kind of sensation in my body, but actually somebody can come and help me with this to make it feel better. When you get your typical 2-year-old, that's highly independent and ferocious and very kind of, you know, they really want to have lots of time spent up with you, and they really want to be independent. And I call it me do it mode, because even though it's not good English, but children say a lot, don't they? Me do it. They want to be able to put on their own shoes, their own coat, and they really want to be fiercely independent. This is when you can start maybe to kind of, I call it kind of passing over the reins for them, to help them with their self-regulation. So you're not doing everything for them, but you're helping them to understand. So if they've got that kind of feeling and they're frustrated or angry or anxious feelings, children still don't know at 2 what they are, but they're feeling that kind of uncomfortable gut feeling. They might describe it as having headache or tummy ache sometimes. But if a child says to me, I've got headache, I'll go, oh dear, can you tell me can you point to where it hurts? Because half the time it's not the head, it might be the tummy, or they might have bumped their elbow or something. But they've heard a parent say, oh, I've got headache, I'm not feeling very well. So they use that term, I've got headache, to describe anything that's going on in the bodies, really. So sometimes if you ask them, where does it hurt? Can you just point to that? Show me where it hurts. You get sometimes more of an idea about what's going on, really. So it's quite fascinating, really, when you start to look into it. So we know that young children, if they see a toy that they want, maybe in preschool or at home, they don't really understand that somebody else has got it. They just go up and try and snatch it away, don't they? And they don't understand that sharing thing. They just see it's mine and I had it last and I want it back again, and they come and try and snatch it back off. So it's about understanding that regulation, but understanding that actually somebody else has got it now, but it can be your turn again soon. And adults can really help children with these kind of things. If you don't get a grip of your emotions, if you and I were talking and suddenly one of us was hungry and thirsty, and then we started to have a big meltdown like a 2-year-old in a terrible tantrum, everybody would be going, really, at your age? What's going on there then? Because that's, it's not age and stage appropriate, and it's not what we'd expect from an adult, is it? Because we've learned to kind of cope with these things and to be able to do it for ourselves. I think the pandemic has put people into disarray a little bit because we don't know what to expect. We're not really sure what's coming next. We're worried about our health. We're worried about, obviously, our parents and our families and our friends. We're worried about our jobs, maybe. when the UK first locked down, people were doing a massive shop at the supermarket, so the supermarkets didn't have any food left, and as quick as they were putting food on the shelves, people were coming to buy it, and they weren't just going for the normal weekly shop. They were just like, you know, as if they couldn't ever go to shop again. So there was no toilet roll, there was no pasta, there was no rice, nothing left on the shops that you could really make any use out of. They were panic buying because maybe I don't know if you've heard of the different regions of your brain, but we call it fight and flight mode when you're in survival mode, and they didn't know what to expect. And for some people, not being able to regulate that because we didn't know what was coming, their first responses are, let's go to the shops and buy absolutely anything that I can get my hands on to make sure that we've got enough food, toilet roll, etc. for the next, you know, foreseeable future. And that's how people were coping, because they didn't know what they were coping with and what was coming.
True.
Lots of people still in this survival mode. They're not really sure. They're going through day to day what's going on, but they're not really thriving through the pandemic. They're still in survival mode. And it's about us kind of realizing with these children as well, and the parents, when it is time for them to go back to preschool and school, if you are a practitioner or teacher out there with early years children, or whatever age of children really, that's actually some teachers and practitioners might be still in survival mode. They're not sure, they're a bit scared. And obviously these children are picking up on these kind of feelings from parents and practitioners. They might be hearing the news or seeing it on the TV. They're not really sure what's happening, but they've heard this big coronavirus or COVID word, and they're not really sure what it is. They might think that when they go back to school and playgroup that everybody's going to be poorly, and they might be ill and die maybe, and they're obviously going to be really anxious about these things. So it's about if maybe age and stage appropriately talking to them about it's a virus. Absolutely. And lots of people get a virus, but it doesn't necessarily going to mean that we're going to die, obviously, and talk about, you know, in an age and stage appropriate way, that you might get the flu or a cough or a cold, and they're viruses as well. It's just this is a new virus, and we're not sure at the moment what, you know, how to make everybody better with it. So you know, trying to kind of get those things over as well. If we don't help children when they're little with their self-regulation skills, and they're going to have problems and terrible issues and struggles and challenges when they do meet their lifetime partner, when they do get married, if that's what they choose to do, obviously, and have children, etc., or even just go out to the workforce, they're just going to have really serious issues and not being able to regulate it. They feel a stress, but they've never felt stress before. Suddenly they're feeling this panic in the body for the first time, and not sure if the head hurts or the tummy hurts or their elbow hurts. And as an adult, you'd hope that those skills were kind of more just there really and regulated, and they're more secure, and that they can cope with that kind of those feelings, knowing that something might have been stressful before or something might have happened, but mum or dad helped me, so I know that I can feel this stressful thing, but maybe a teacher can help me now, and maybe somebody else can, and they've got the strategies to be able to cope with these things. And I think that's in a nutshell. Obviously I can talk about it for absolutely ages, but in a nutshell, it's about understanding your feelings and being able to cope with them and to regulate your body back to where it should be in order for you to carry on, because you can spend a little bit of time in fight and flight mode, in survival mode, but obviously it doesn't do anybody any good to stop there forever or for a period of time. Does that make sense?
I completely, absolutely. So I completely, I think now the word regulation, it makes a lot of sense, because till we don't know what might be, making the child anxious or stubborn or upset, we would not know how to handle it or how to help the child. So as you absolutely, what you mentioned is that we need to talk to them, because this is a different time for all. So and especially the most difficult for children, because maybe a 8-year-old might understand that there is a virus or something like that, and it's not safe to step out, but a 2 and a 3-year-old might not. So yes, I think yes, to understand what is making them anxious, and talk to them, and then giving a solution definitely can help them regulate, and make them stay calm and happy at home. So thanks, that was really some really good insight into self-regulation. Well, if I have to share what I'm trying, Sue, is that recently the count of hugs that I was giving my children has gone tremendously high.
Yep.
Because honestly, I'm telling you, I think it's working for me more than it's working for them. And so I would highly encourage everyone that even if you are a teacher, the schools have resumed in some parts of the globe, and I'm sure teachers do it all the time. So I mean, I can tell them from my experience. But for parents, even if you are working from home, believe me, giving a tight hug to your child does wonders to both.
It does.
So
It's that attachment. It's that need for human connection, isn't it? It's that kind of. It's huge. It's a huge thing, and I'm hoping that throughout the globe, that when children do go back to preschool and school and nurseries and kindergartens, that actually the focus is on the personal, social, and emotional thing before how to teach them and how to pass exams and things like that. And I'm
absolutely.
really hoping that they manage to get children feeling safe. If we think of Maslow and his
Yes.
hierarchy of needs, that feeling of security and safety is absolutely. And if you're not there at all, and you're in your survival, fight and flight mode brain,
Mm.
then they're not going to learn anything, are they? And they're going to get into trouble for not listening or acting in a behaviour challenging way to the teachers, seeing all that thing. But they're just stressed out and they don't know what to do with their bodies, because the teacher probably won't at high school, at secondary school. The teachers are not going to want to just go, do you know what? Do you need a hug? I'll just give you a big squeeze, because it's not
Yes.
acceptable at that age, is it? But actually, that's probably what they do need. They do need that
Yes.
connection again. And actually, I just hope that they spend the time being able to make sure people are feeling regulated and mentally, and the mental health is sorted out and they feel safe before they carry on with the school curriculum and kind of getting all those factual points across that they need to learn.
I couldn't agree more. So, in fact, that was my next question, which
Okay.
you just mentioned that when the school begin, if you are about to start in some countries, and then hopefully as they resume gradually around the globe. Uh, in today's time, my question was coming to that if you have to look at parents, or we were meeting parents or training them maybe 5 to 6 months ago, and now when the schools will reopen, for example, in UK, I mean, we Australia, it's the schools are already on. UK, it's going to resume gradually, coming this month, September onwards. So would you, I'm sure we are expecting some change in the parents' perspective and the expectations. So what do you feel, you expect a change there? And also the second part that we would love to hear it is that has the role of teachers or early childhood professionals, has it gone tougher than before, once they resume, or even currently, as a matter of fact?
I think there's a more focus, isn't it, at the moment, about the safety element. So I don't think the roles of the teachers have changed particularly, but I think at the moment we've got this huge focus on keeping everybody safe, mentally and physically safe. Parents are, even if they're going back to your preschool or any nursery or kindergarten around the world, they're going to need you, I think, to be able to connect with them, to reassure them that their children are going to be safe. I know people are taking like a walk around video, maybe on the phone, maybe using a WhatsApp video or something like that, or a Zoom, to show parents and children this is what's changed. When you come into the house now, or if you're a childminder, or when you go into the nursery now or the preschool, we might need to sanitize our hands. So this is what we're doing. And that's when you're doing this. And your mum or your dad and your parents might not be able to come in. At the moment in the UK, they're doing a doorstop drop-off, so they're not allowed in the nursery to drop them off. So we say goodbye here, and you'll come to Sue, which is your key person, and then we're going to wash our hands, and this is what we do. And it really reassures the children what's the same and highlights what might be a little bit different.
Right.
But it reassures the parents and the children that there are some going to do the same things. We are still going to be learning through play. We're not going to be sat in our own little physical tent plastic bubble to make sure that we're not passing our coronavirus on, but showing them what systems you've got in place, Talking to parents about the stepped up cleaning and all the touch points and things that you've really thought about how you're going to keep the children safe. So even for parents returning to childcare, I think it's about connecting back with them. Is there any questions? This is what we've done. Have you got any anxieties or worries that you want me to talk to you about? And so that I can really tell you about our risk assessments and what we're doing there to be able to keep those, to put parents at mind at rest. If they're not at ease, their anxieties get passed on to their children.
Absolutely,
If you remember when your children were smaller, if you were uptight or anxious, there's no way that you'll settle that baby at all, because they could feel all that going on. You can feel your heartbeat going like crazy, and they can feel it all. So and children pick that up on their parents. If you as a parent, for example, saw a spider and you went, that's horrible, and had a big meltdown, the children will do that when they see a spider. But I know there are some spiders that are dangerous, but actually tiny little spiders are not going to harm us. So they will, if a parent has done that, that's the only thing that they've seen. So they'll see a spider and be like, and they'll be doing that as well, won't they? So it's called social referencing in kind of technical terms, but they pick up on the parent's face, what they say, what they do. And if the parents are super wound up about coronavirus and they're not sure whether the children are going to be safe back in preschool and school, then the chances are that the child will be anxious about that as well, and you're passing that anxiety on to your child. So it's going to be really important to me, I think, to make sure that parents are in the right headspace as well, and that you've had those conversations, maybe a Zoom call or a telephone call or a conference call with each and every one of them before they come back. To do that walk round. This is what we've done. I'll show you this video, but actually, have you got any questions for me? Is there anything that you're really anxious about? Because I'm really happy to answer your questions, and we've tried to do as much as we can, obviously, to make sure it's going to be a safe environment for your children when they come back. With the ages and stages of children, like you said, your 8-year-old might have more of an idea about your 8-year-olds, should I say, should have more of an idea about the COVID and maybe what's going on, but they might also have that realization about how they've made them safe. So they've got that awareness, but they've also got the common sense and the information that you've given them to balance it out. Children at 4 and 5 or 3 and 4 might have heard all these big words, and they might be super anxious because nobody's told them about how we've tried to make the world a safer place. And maybe 2-year-olds probably couldn't care less because they're not sure, and they're coming back in to see the friends, and they're just going to run back in and go, well, hey, I'm back. So maybe they might be the easiest. Maybe some children will run in back into childcare and to school, and they'll be super excited to see the teachers and friends, whereas some of them will be a little bit more anxious and hesitant, maybe depending on what's been going on at home, and what maybe unanswered questions maybe they've got as well.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. So, in fact, what I believe is, children adapt quicker than adults, because I mean, I see it around me, the way children have adapted and understood this entire condition around this pandemic is unbelievable. They so today, if you have to go out, even for a walk, so they know that when you're stepping out, they have to wear a mask. So they are aware, and of course, I'm talking about age group where they start understanding. If you're saying something to them, 5, 6, 7 years old, that okay, if mama or papa is telling me not to touch, maybe the particular ride or slide or merry-go-round in the parks, so they understand why they are saying it. So I think the way they are adapting to the situation is fantastic. And I'm sure, as you mentioned, once the school resumes, more than what curriculum I'm going to cover in the next 1 month, yes, the mental, physical, social stability, and to get that trust and faith back, where children are outside home after a gap of 5 to 6 months, getting that back to normal, I think that would be and should be the most important thing for anyone who's associated with schools and children. So great. I think I echo your thought on that. So Sue, we have so one last question that I before we wrap up this
Okay.
amazing chat that we're having is, during this entire time, how do you think that is it the right time to connect with the your family, your friends, your relatives, connecting to maybe an unknown passion or a talent that you have or you had, but you never got an opportunity to spend time on it, to actually work on it? So
Hmm.
do you think that this, though it is not a very positive time for a lot of things, but I believe leaders and positive people always find something positive in the worst of times. So if you have to make the most of this time which nature has given us and utilize it to connect or to build on something, how important do you think it is?
I think obviously in the world, people have kind of locked down before other countries and things like that. So we're all in various different states of this connect and disconnect and reconnect, aren't we, at the moment? But certainly when the UK started to lock down, it was a huge opportunity because some of us weren't going to work or we were working different shift patterns from home and things like that. And it was establishing that new norm, even though that new normal might have only been for a few months. It's about filling your day, making sure that you have connected and that you're not just wasting your day watching TV and what have you and just vegging out in front of the telly. So maybe that daily walk, or maybe obviously spending some time outside with the children, maybe doing Zoom connections, because just seeing each other is a lot better than just talking to each other. So if you can get in touch with family, obviously with Zoom and obviously other platforms like that, you can have more than one person dialing in. So you could have almost a family get together virtually and have a chat. And it's a nice time to catch up with people, I think. The world's a hugely busy place. And if we're not careful, we go from one day, 1 week, 1 month to the next without seeing our families sometimes if you're not living so close to them.
Right,
We've
right.
also found that we are connecting with our neighbours more, and we've got to know our neighbours more because they're at home, whereas we're usually just past when we were driving out and come back in again as well. So just chatting over the fence to them and seeing them out in the street has been a huge thing as well. So yeah, I think it's really important. And time, maybe like you said, if you've got a past hobby, so you used to like to knit or run or sew or whatever, tapping back into those kind of things as well, because it's been a long time maybe since you've had the time
Right.
to be able to do that, and being able to do that and not feel adrift really, and really finding a new normal for that routine, for that time. Yeah, I think that's a really hugely important thing. I think you're right to highlight that.
Great, great. So absolutely, Sue. At least I completely believe in it that though it is definitely, these times are challenging for everyone across the globe, but we can't sit thinking about it that it's a difficult time. We need to move on, and if God has nature has given us this time, I think we should make the most of it by connecting with people who think like you or maybe think better than you, people who are have amazing exposure experience in things which you might be interested to learn
Mhm.
and share. And I believe that thought really was a trigger when we thought of creating a group which is the Early Childhood Global Mastermind Group. And
Mhm.
believe me, it's been hardly 10 days. The response has been fantastic, and through this spotlight show, I would in fact request all who are associated with early childhood to connect. And it's going to be great. The way I am enjoying every minute of discussing, having a conversation with Sue today. We hope to meet more professionals, positive, inspiring people in the Spotlight Show going forward. So it's a pleasure, and I want to thank you once again for being with us, sharing your viewpoints on the questions that we shared. And I want to wish you all the best. And together, as a part of early childhood global mastermind group people, we want to say all the best. We pray that hope things get better soon, and we all are back in our schools and training and teaching and playing with children. So thanks a ton, Sue.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you. Nice to see you
Thank
all.
you so much. Thank you so much, Sue. And
Thank
a
you.
big thank you to all our viewers who have taken out time to connect with us, watch us. And I'm really thankful to you. And I wish you all the best and a great weekend ahead. Thank you. Take care
Thank you.
till we meet
Take care,
again on the
everybody.
Spotlight Show.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Have a great weekend ahead.
Bye.
Bye bye.